we recording?
We are.
We're recording. Okay. Hi there. So today what we're going to be doing is splicing some fiber. If you look over here, this is our little can. This is the old fiber that we're taking out. It's the wrong stuff. So we've already got the new fiber pulled in. That's what these big black cables are. So what we're going to do is first thing we're going to do is we're going to strip down these cables and kind of expose them. So I'm going to get out the tools and then we'll be back in just a second. Alright, so we're back and we've got our little tools here laid out for stripping this thing. So basically what I do is I take this fancy tool right here, put it on the jacket. It's got a small blade, cuts through this PVC or whatever it is on there. Spin it, slide it up. What that's going to do is it's going to allow me to peel back just a small portion of this to get to the little, there's a little string in here. I have to excuse me, it's not a fast process getting this stuff off. Cheat. There we go. Alright, so this is what this little guy right here is what we're looking for. That's going to let me peel back all the plastic on this all the way down. So how we do this is we just a little notch here by the plastic to kind of help it get started. Grab it with the pliers. I'm going to pull down into that little groove a little bit first. There we go. As you can see, it's not an exact science. Now it's started, so I can kind of pull it back here. Once we have that little slice going all the way down, it makes it real easy for me to just separate the plastic right here, pull these little tubes out. Okay, so easy might not be the right word, but this jacketing that I'm pulling off is it's mainly for strength while you're pulling it through the conduit, and it's also got some weather protecting properties to it. But once we're winding it up in these little cans here, it's not really necessary inside there, and it also gets in the way, so we like to just cut it off. So that's kind of step one of the process, and then I like to kind of snap this little excess jacket back on there so it doesn't look all silly. Easier said than done. There we go. So that just goes back on there. Now what all this white stuff on here is actually it's a kind of specialized paper, I guess, or string, I guess you could say, that turns to a liquid if water hits it. It's to sort of protect the guts of this cabling from water getting into it. It will just turn to a gel and kind of stop the water in its tracks before it really starts to damage the plastic tubes that we'll have exposed here in a minute. And again, once we're inside this little can, it's not necessary anymore, so we cut it to get it out of our way. And the stuff that I'm cutting off is same stuff. They just make it a little bit more difficult to get off. For what reason, I'm not exactly entirely sure, but it's just one more thing we gotta get rid of. Just kind of slides off. From there, if you take a close look at this, these blue and orange tubes are actually what we're interested in. Inside each one of those tubes is 12 fibers. The rest of this stuff, these black ones are actually, they can hold more fibers, but we only ordered 24 strands, so if we were to order a larger fiber count, each one of these would be color-coded and contain 12 fibers as well. And then this guy right here is a fiberglass strength member. It keeps you from bending the cable at an improper angle, so you don't snap any of your fibers. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to separate the fiber tubes that we need from the rest of this stuff and cut it out, so we'll be able to wrap this up inside the can. And this is going to take me a second, and I think you get the point. So we'll be back in just a moment after I get this all unwrapped. Alright, we're back. I've got most of everything laid out, but first I'll just show you what we do. Once we got all that cable stripped down, we kind of secure it with a zip tie back here to that strength member to kind of keep it in place. And then I'll have my cameraman here take over. Alright, so as you can kind of see, we've got our two different fiber things, whatever, coming out here, and we've got the tubes separated, the red and, orange and blue tubes on either side. And what we're going to do is we're going to splice these together. Now our very next step here, and we'll start with this orange tube, is we've got to strip back this plastic coating to expose the fiber, and we're going to take probably about, go back about 2 feet. For that we use handy dandy stripper tool here, kind of gunked up. And I'm not going to show you the whole thing on this because it's going to take forever, because this is what I have to do. I have to do it in little small chunks like this to get it exposed, because as you can see there's kind of like a little twirl to this tubing, and inside of it is, and I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera, but that stuff is covered in a gel goop, and that has two purposes. The first is kind of impact protection. It allows the fibers to sort of float in the tube, and it kind of cushions them in there. And the other part is, again, to protect it from water. The water can't pass that gel. But if you try and take this plastic with all these little spins in it and pull it off in big foot-long chunks, you can see all the goo that's hanging on there. It'll actually prevent you from pulling it off. And the other thing is we want to make sure we don't nick the fiber as we're pulling this stuff off. So I'll just demonstrate on this one. And then after we get this fiber exposed, pull off all this plastic, the next thing we have to do is wipe off all that gel crap so we can split out the individual fibers. Okay. Small enough?